Guys, sorry I'm not able to be in class today, but I figured I'd help you out with a little bit of a video tutorial. There are some things in this tutorial that I've not taught you how to do yet, so if you're feeling confused, I hope this helps clear some things up. I've started out by drawing out the basics of everything you have to do in steps 1 through 7 of the tutorial, so if your sheet doesn't look like this, that's totally okay. So what I want you to start by doing is create an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So width is 8.5 inches, the height is 11 inches. And the first thing I ask you to do is to draw a green circle, a red square, a purple octagon, and a yellow star. So what I want you to do is we're going to go over here to our Shapes tool, we're going to go down to Star. If you single click, it asks you to customize your star. So let's say we just want to do a 5-point one, so we're going to type in 5 points. Say OK, that's kind of large, we can scale that down in a second. We also want it to be yellow, so we're going to go down to our fill option here, go down to our color picker and select yellow. And to scale it down, we can just go to our direct select tool. We can hold down the shift key and go ahead and scale that down. Next, we want to draw an octagon, so we're going to go to our Shapes tool again, go to Polygon tool. We are going to single click, and we know that an octagon has 8 sides, so I have 8 typed in here. We're going to say OK. Again, go to our color picker, make sure this is purple, change the color, and we're good to go. The final thing we have to do for this piece is to arrange the shapes here. So we know that we want the purple octagon on the bottom. So I want to bring the yellow star in front. And if I just right click on it and say arrange, bring to front, that's going to place the yellow star in front of the purple octagon. So let's do the same thing with the circle. Right click, arrange, bring to front. And finally the same thing with the red square, right click, arrange, bring to front. And we're done with number 1. Over here I have 8 black and white circles. You guys are pretty familiar with how to create black and white shapes at this point after creating your other project. So what I want to do is I want to make sure they are all concentric and they're all different sizes. So if I select all of them, I'm going to go up here and I see these tools. These are all of my align tools. So if you hover over them, you have a description of what each one of them does. So for example, we have a horizontal align center, we have a vertical align center, vertical distribute, horizontal distribute right, etc., etc. So we'll start off by horizontal aligning the centers. So you can see it brings all the circles in line with each other. And then we want to vertically align the centers. And you can see that that just kind of squares all of the centers of the circle together. So this is looking pretty good here. I'll just move this out of the way. So our first 2 are now done. I've also created, I believe there are 18 rectangles here. And to copy shapes, what you can do is you can hold down Alt and you can drag a shape out. You can also go to Control-C for copy and then Control-V to paste. And what the tutorial asks us to do is to align the lines to the same base, and we want to distribute the lines evenly. So I'm going to select all my rectangles here. I'm going to go up here to my align tools again, and I want to horizontally distribute the centers. And I want to also vertically align the centers. So that brings them all on the same plane, and it also brings our centers to the same plane. So the next component of number 3 here is to also rotate this 45 degrees. So if I right click and say transform and rotate, I can just type in 45 degrees and it will do just that. And we are done with that one. So for number 4, we want to draw a gray 16-pointed star with no stroke. So if I go over here to my polygon tool, go to star. Again, I want to just single click. I want my star to have 16 points. say OK. And obviously pink is not the right color, so I'm going to go to my color picker here, change the fill to gray, and say OK. And I'm just going to go ahead and scale this down just so we can have a little bit more space. Alright, so the next one, we want to have 4 squares, or 4 rounded rectangles, each are the same size, but with increasing corner roundness with no stroke. So this is really easy to do. If we go over here to our Shapes tool again, you'll notice that we have a rounded rectangle tool. So, we don't want it that big. I'm just going to single click, and let's say I want my width to be 1, my height to be 2, my corner radius is going to be 0 for my first one. Actually, I don't like that. Let's single click again. We'll do 1 and 1.25, and our corner radius is 0. If we click again, we can make our corner radius 1.1, and you'll notice that our corners are a little bit more rounded. Click again, we'll make our third one 0.2. Click again, make our third one 0.3. And then we can go to our direct select arrow tool and we can just align these so they look a little bit nicer. Alright, we'll move these out of the way. Alright, for the 6th one, we're going to use something called the Pathfinder tool. I do already have mine up. However, if you do not have your Pathfinder tool, I want you to go to Window, and I want you to scroll down until you see Pathfinder. Excuse me. And I already have my black circle, my yellow square here. I'm going to align the centers. And what I want to do is I want to select both of these shapes, and I want to punch out that center square. So with both of them selected, I'm going to go to minus the front under my shape modes, my Pathfinder, and you'll see that takes away the yellow square. What I can do here is I can take my longer red rectangle and I can just align that right in there with the shape. If your red rectangle is in front, like this, keep in mind you can just click on it and go to Arrange, Send to Back, just like we did with the first exercise there. And finally, we're going to be using the Pathfinder tool again. We are going to unite a circle, and we're also going to subtract a circle. So I'm going to select my 2 shapes here, my rectangle and my first circle, and under my shape modes I want to unite them. So you see that becomes one object. And then I'm going to add the shape over here, and I want to subtract the front, and that's going to take away that second circle. For this shape, it also asked me to add a stroke like we did in the first one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the shape. I am going to make sure that I'm allowed to have a stroke, so I don't want to have any red line through that. And I can change the weight of my stroke, or the thickness, by going up here and just increasing the stroke weight to something higher than 1. And once all that is done, you can slide this down a little bit if you have room. And you're going to go over to your Type tool. You're going to drag out a text box. I want you to write your name. If you want to change the size of the font, you can do everything up here. I'll also make this a 21-point font. That's plenty big enough. And you can save it into your tutorials folder, and I will check it out on Friday. Thank you very much.